Well, as I said in my earlier discuss, I think that this year presidential election was like, a kind of a new dawn in Cameroonians that they renewed that interest for change in Cameroon. And I must say, sometimes the invisible hand is sometimes touch on things that at the time we do not expect. Because you remember that prior to this election, we actually spoke to so many people about the possibility of Cameroonians coming out en masse to vote at these elections. But a lot of people express a lot of disillusionment, especially for the fact that the opposition didn't come together in the coalition. And sometimes we were meant to believe that it was just going to be as usual as it happened in the past. But I think that this time around, the electorates, they were determined. I remember the last few days before the elections, I went to some electoral offices, and what I saw marveled me, that you saw the eagerness in Cameroonians, you saw Cameroonians monetizing to get their voters' cards. And to me, I didn't want to raise an alarm, but I rather took it positively that if someone should go in the Cameroonian way, pay money to get his voters' card, it means that there was really that enthusiasm, that zest, right, that people had to go for election. We have to start talking from there. And when I saw that, I knew that the 12th last Sunday was going to be a heated day. I mean, the day came, we went to the polls, and of course, the polls were not as dry as we used to have in the past. I mean, as early, I voted at about 9:30 in the morning. I was the third to vote in my polling center. And just the time I voted and I was going out, it was like, people felt as if it was something they had to do for the last time. I saw an influx of people getting into the voting center, and I was asking myself, what is happening? So it was a kind of a renewed kind of, interest that people had. And I know this renewed interest is because there's that desire that Cameroonians have for change. And we are going to be analyzing the stakes that concerning this day, the 12th of October, because a lot happened. I remember I consulted on many TVs on that day, and of course there were a lot of things that happened that day which we're talking about.
Absolutely, yes. We are going.
Of course, it has to kind of, I would say, jeopardize the process that we have in Cameroon, because there is a stipulation of the law which says that it is only the Constitutional Council, the CCD, that is habilitated with the right and prerogative to announce a general winner of the election. But of course, I must actually emphasize here that there is no law that prohibits anyone from publishing the election result from a polling station or for a polling center. But there is a law that prohibits you from declaring an overall winner.
But that's what happens actually with Chiroma.
Exactly, and that is where we find who pick holes with Mr. Chiroma. Of course, you know that we live in an autocratic government, Clarice. There are certain things that, even though we do not permit, because I usually say that you do not have to incite people to violence because that is about inciting people to violence. And you saw what is already happening in Cameroon. Absolutely. What happened in Chang, what happened in Bafang, what happened in Limbe, what happened in Bonamusa. And so when you make those kind of pronouncements, you are inciting violence. And this is just one of the reasons why we want to keep low and wait for the Constitutional Council that is fully habilitated to pronounce the winner of the election. And you are asking about how this can jeopardize. And already we have seen how it has jeopardized, because what many people already carry in their minds is the fact that it is Mr. Chiroma who has won. Of course, I'm also of the opinion that his strides were great, but I actually hold, my breath to think that he is not supposed already to announce that he is the winner. Well, this is also because there is no trust in the electoral process in Cameroon. People do not seem to trust the Constitutional Council. You heard about how results have already been doctored. Every day we are receiving complaints of how results that are being changed, are being doctored, results are being changed from the original result to what other people would like to see. So I think that it is just like a way, it's a preemptive kind of action from inside Chiroma to let the powers that be know that he knows that his strides were great and he knows that he actually performed well in the election. But this is a common thing in Africa.
Addressing and making utterances, which actually are problematic.
Exactly, and that is exactly what I'm saying. And I usually say that no political ambition of any politician is worth a drop of blood of any Cameroonian. Because what you are seeing here is all these utterances are like inciting people to get to the street. And I don't think that any drop of blood of any Cameroonian is worth all of those. We enjoy the peace. We enjoy the peace, even though it is said that you can't eat an omelette without cracking the egg. But I think that sometimes there is a way politicians have to think about the safety of the electorate too before making their pronouncement. Because Absolutely. What we have had already in the past few days, I think that if it continues the way it continues, Cameroon is going to plunge itself into a very, very difficult situation, which is very, very imminent. I'm seeing that coming with all of these pronouncements.
And that is what
Cameroon is in a dilemma. Those who actually thought they are the ones at the level of the authority in Cameroon, and that they could call the shots at any time, and that they could proclaim anything at any time. You see that a lot is actually going down a little bit by bit. I hear Dr. Elijah also mention of people like the Minister of Territorial Administration. If you look at since the week before elections, and then the day of election, and this week that started, you realize that the Minister of Territorial Administration has started piping down a little bit. Because what is the understanding? The understanding is that when the people stand up and ask for what they want, you can never stop them. I like the politician who said, when the people will just stand up, even if you bring the whole of the French army, it cannot shut them down.
And I think Cameroon is not actually moving toward that.
Exactly. That is just to say that what? When we say that Vox Populi, Vox Dei, it is not just a statement. It is a divine statement. It is a divine feeling. It is a divine will that this statement incarnates. And when we say that, it is not just about people taking up arms to fight. It is about those who are in power who, even metaphysically, are not able to contain the feelings of the people for a change. Let me tell you, it is not just about somebody taking up a gun against another person. No, it is also about somebody not able to stand the feeling of the whole population of Cameroon. It is important to know that. People will think that it is very easy for somebody to do wrong or to cheat or to rig elections and then go lie down and sleep peacefully. It is not easy. And that is why you find a lot of people confessing now. You find that there is somebody, the CPDM representative of Fundong, who even resigned. After all the manipulation, he came, sat down, thought about himself. His conscience judged him. He could not bear it. It was more than him. And he had to take his pen and wrote down, I want my peace. And therefore, I am resigning because of what I saw, what I discovered. See, these things are divinely shaped. It is very, very important for us to know these things. And I am saying that at one moment, sometimes we understand with those who are in power too, Clarice, that to be in power for 43 years, at that moment, you feel that the presidential palace is your home. And therefore, to leave it, it is very, very difficult. It is human. It is, when you stay somewhere for so long a time, you begin to think that that place belongs to you. So we understand the sit tight of some of these people. You are a minister for 10 years, you are a minister for 20 years, you are a minister for 25 years. Leaving that ministerial post or leaving power at the end of it all, it is usually very, very difficult because this is what is being seen by those who have held power for so long. They are seeing it, leaving them. And what we are saying that, of course, when we say this, sometimes some people who are even afraid of the unknown, they think that it is just about the rule of the gun. It is not just about the rule of the gun, but it is about the concerted voices of the people. The people without the gun can make your administration ungovernable. And when the people say it is enough, know that it is enough, even if they don't take up gun. We know of Nelson Mandela who said the pain is mightier than the gun. And we have always known that. You see, most of the Anglophones, even in Cameroon, know this statement very well because we have gotten our things in Cameroon, the GC board and all of the others, due to the pain and due to the voices of the people, that the people sit and decide that this is what is going to be and is going to be. It is not necessary by the gun. And I think that if this time around, which of course, this is what I perceive, if that Cameroonians have actually decided, and I must say this, Clarice, since the elections day, there is no day I'm not going on the media. I'm on consult on the media almost every day. And on election day, I consulted on 3 different medias on the very day. We slept late in the night. And let me tell you, the popular feelings is that which I see like Dr. Elijah expressed there. That is the popular feelings of Cameroonians. And you are asking yourself, where was this feeling in the past? Why were Cameroonians not expressing this feeling? It is because the time has come for them. And sometimes when the time comes, and you do not want to give in to that time that is coming, the wind blows you out.
Don't we think this should have been happening after the proclamation? Should their expectations?
No, the point is, we are trying to preempt issues. And the fact is that when you wait until elections are proclaimed and the leader is chosen, where are you going to be able to?
We have to submit contestations to the Constitutional Council.
Clarice, we are in Cameroon. Let us not behave as if we are in space. Cameroon is a country that is being ruled by an arch. I don't want to qualify that adjective. We are in Cameroon. Let us be frank. You know, there are certain points. I'm a civil society. There are certain moments. A real civil society is someone who identifies with the suffering masses. And sometimes it is good to speak that truth. We cannot chew the words. I know that the media too is afraid to talk about this thing because the Minister of Territorial Administration has warned them about
the media,
entertaining.
I think, just being the watchdog. Remember,
exactly.
It's about protecting
exactly.
the sovereignty, the security.
Let me tell you, yes? I was on a major platform yesterday, and the moment the journalist who was coordinating was talking about, okay, we are not supposed to talk about who won, before he realized he himself was already talking about it.
And which is very fallacious.
It is fallacious, but let me tell you, you cannot stand by the moving water and disapprove of its current. It is very, very important to know this. That sometimes you should not behave as if you are not where action is taking place or where that you are very far from the people. It is very, very important that we look at how the election went, of course, and that is our point of discussion. That the elections that was run, I mean, it is like somebody make the mention of Maurice Kamto. At one moment, you know, he was like somebody who drew the sleep or the from the eyes of the government and all the ministers. But at one moment, the moment that they thought they were they had succeeded to keeping away from it, their own very python was at the backyard running to come and take over. And that python is Issa Chiruma. They had fed that python so well, and now the python is ready to swallow them. We just have to base some of these things. These are things that happen in life. And we are saying that it is actually the will of the people that is supposed to be expressed. Because this is what we are clamoring for. They're the voices of the people, the aspiration of the people. I mean, what they have expressed, somebody somewhere should be able to say, yes, the electorate, they have spoken and we have heard. And that there is no way in which we can stand against this blowing wind. Like the wind of democracy, which somebody claimed he brought to Cameroon. But it was a wind that blew from Eastern Europe. And that is the wind that we want to have now. That we should also be proud that at one moment in the year of the Lord, 2025, we had this wind that blew in Cameroon. And everybody went with it, accepted it as it is. And that we are going to write our own story and start writing it again from afresh. As someone said, you cannot sit at one moment and know that you have never known any other change. Even for the own sake, change is very important, and that is what we are asking for. And one of the aspects of change is also accepting that there is somebody with you, and that if you have succeeded, you should also accept that you prepare someone to succeed you, because I usually say that there is no successful person without a successor. And if somebody is reticent to, give it over power to another person, it means that the person failed. He doesn't have a successor, and therefore he didn't succeed. First, the will of the people represents the weakness and the failures to deliver on political promises. Of course, that one is the first thing that we have to note, because that is the only way in which the electorate can punish politicians. is that they disown them. And the best way to disown them is through the ballot box. That is the first thing. The second thing is that what we saw on Sunday is a renewed desire to see a new Cameroon. Remember that we, over the years, I mean, for those of us who are used to maybe giving our opinions on the media, we have analyzed a lot of countries in Africa in terms of elections, even our next door, Nigeria, here. I remember at one moment when Nigeria was going into elections, we were able to say how Nigerians in one spirit at one moment during the last elections, there was a lot of enthusiasm for Nigerians to go to the polls. And you see the beauty of elections. You see the beauty of campaigns. You see the beauty of politicking. And then we are asking ourselves, what is wrong with Cameroon that we cannot copy even from our next door? We saw Kenya. We saw other countries. And then you saw the enthusiasm that goes to election. And you just see Cameroonians sitting there like zombies. Nobody feels that it is just okay to be where we are.
But their comments seem so radical, which is detrimental.
It is not radical. That is how the wind of change blows, Clarice. If you think that, remember that in Cameroon, we will only vote again after 7 years, except Issa Chiroma comes and says that.
You're actually declaring.
No, I'm not declaring. Let me. Issa Chiroma, now he represents now the new. Let me tell you, the stakes are between two people. The stakes are between Mr. Pobia and Mr. Issa Chiroma.
Absolutely,
there's
we
no other
highlighted
person.
that in the
Yes.
preamble.
So
yes.
if I talk about Mr. Chiroma, I'm just talking about an alternative. And the only alternative we have now after Bia is Issa Chiroma. And now we are talking about the renewed feelings that people have for change. Means that if people have a renewed feeling for change, means that the change is from who to who. Means the change is from Pobia to.
What about the other opposition leaders
They're gone
that
missing.
are calling for cancellation or even
No, don't mind.
cancellation
Don't mind. They are playing their one-man show. You know that when a horse falls down, it jerks off its legs. That is what is happening to other opposition leaders. And I must tell you that towards the end of the campaign period, you saw that the other candidates just got missing. Many of them got missing because they didn't even know where they were and they didn't know where they were going to. It is important. And some along the way gave their support to other candidates. This is important. And one of the things that we are asking at this point in time, you are asking what should really happen at this point in time. It has happened in other countries, and Cameroon will not be an exception. Because as we speak, even Mr. Pobia knows who has won, whether he is the one or another candidate. He knows already whether he is the one who has won or another candidate. And if he knows that it's another candidate who has won, it is just very loyal and peaceful. Maybe just to call the organ and congratulate.
We have just one week to go. I think that patience is something which is very imperative.
See, you should not wait until the last day. When you wait until the last day, it means that we will interpret to mean that you have tried to change things and it didn't work. I really expect the Constitutional Council not to wait until the 27th to declare the winner of this election. When you wait until the last day, we will interpret to mean that you have tried and tried and tried. Either you have succeeded or you haven't. And let somebody not come and say it again that our hands are tied. This time around, we'll lose the hands. So we are saying that it has happened in other countries whereby you find other candidates who recognize the fact that the country is bigger than us. The country is bigger than our ambitions. And that this is, we have listened to the electorate, and it's high time we want to avoid a situation that you have heard the electorate speak, and you just have to give in. It is important. Even our next door Gabon here, they got something beautiful at the end of it, even though it was masquerading. But you saw that because some people are even, I learned, Ismi Cycle was talking about people complain that Issa Chiroma has left from government, and now you see, who was Mr. Olingi? Mr. Olingi was the bodyguard, the chief bodyguard of Omar Bongo.
Yes.
Of course, and we accept the fact that Gabonese are happy today just for that change, and that this is somebody who has even left the ruling party and is still ruling. So sometimes you know that when you step foot in an arena where there is dirt, you want to sweep it because that is where you want to lay your head. And we think that when you come in new, you actually have eyes that see very far from someone who has been there. And that's why they usually say in an African proverb, it's a Cameroon proverb, even that an Ubrum, I mean, whatsoever, and what the aspect of an Ubrum means that what? You have been somewhere and that you know the wars of that place. And that even when somebody leaves the ruling party, and that's what we're expecting, because many people had hoped that the CPDM would present a different candidate. Let me tell you, people will have still gone for that party candidate that came from the CPDM, because they expect that at some time moment, you just have to come anew, and then you see something new, and then you bring in your own perspective about certain things. So it is important that we accept the fact that we do not want anything bloodshed. Secondly, no chaos, no violence is accepted in Cameroon, because after everything, we enjoy the peace. Of course, we were on a mission in Congo, and beautifully from the ex-minister who said, despite all of what is happening in Congo, we still love the peace that we enjoy, because there is nothing that you can value more than peace. But then, when someone refuses to give you the peace, what I say, if a child refuses that the mother won't sleep, the child himself won't sleep. So I think that all of us need peace, be it the president who is in Yaoundé, be it the minister, because when you even have the roads that are bad, it is not just the low people down there who are suffering from the roads that are bad. And the sanction that the electorates you have been asking gave to the ruling government is the fact that the roads in Cameroon are in a very despicable condition, and that is the sanction that they wanted to give. That the economic crisis actually in Cameroon, it is a pity. That the prices of goods and services in Cameroon are skyrocketing by the day. The price of fuel is going up. Electricity supply is epileptic. Water supply is a problem. Health services are a problem. The educational services are a problem. And you, like Mr. Dr. Elijah said, you see that the franc CFA is dropping. I just saw today was something like 600 francs to $1. I mean, where are we leading to? Where are we going to? I made a transaction today in India, and it was surprising that the little money I had was, I had to go to fill again my card, because I didn't know that, the franc CFA has even gone, and I had to pay in dollars. So it is a problem, and that is a sanction that the electorates want to give, that the new person should be aware that if this is a signal, you should already know that this is what they are going to judge the new person on. So it is actually an issue that all of us, that we are declaring that we do not want war. We do not want violence, because we have seen what that has given in other countries. We have seen that what that has given in Sudan. We have seen what that has given in other countries. And we will not want to come. We used to say that Cameroon is, a peaceful country. It's an island in a temperance region. And of course, we are proud about that. And we are also proud about the fact that Cameroon is what they call the continent. And I remember the last December, the president of the republic made mention of the issue of the continent, and he himself even asked whatever that means. I know that he knows exactly what that means. That, of course, well, we are proud of that. I went somewhere and some people say, hey, you are coming from the continent. I said, yes, I'm from the continent. It is very important for us to be proud about some of these aspects, and we can go on naming the past glories that we have. Why are we only living in nostalgia? The world is changing. The world is changing very fast. And you see, with the aspiration of the youth, the world is changing. Are we going to remain in the same place like old people, like zombies? And that is why Cameroon doesn't want even dual nationality. You know why? Because they know that those who are over there, people like Dr. Elijah, Misaika, and all of them, they are already knowledgeable. They are into, computer. They are into the Android world, and they know exactly what it means to transform a country. They don't want them to come, because we are being ruled by people who are old and they don't want any change. We need to be tolerant in this. We need to be flexible. We need to accept this, and this is a sanction that the electorate is giving and saying that we want dual nationality, we want the country to change, we want to follow from the trends that are going on in the world, that we will not remain behind and be ruled by people, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. It is a mod.
It's one of the loopholes that the opposition in Cameroon has. They fail on their GOTV. What is GOTV strategy? GOTV is go get out the vote strategy. This is usually the last strategy that the opposition or any party that wants to win election gets into. And the GOTV strategies include actually providing logistics, providing the polling agents and all of them, and taking care of them. But the opposition parties somehow largely failed on that. But I must say, Clarice, that we follow on the online polling of this election, which was much more intense than the last year. And even the counting of the votes at the polling stations. And you, at one moment, you didn't even want to know whether the opposition were represented there or not, because the way that the voting was done. I must tell you that when you see places where, like in upstations in Bermuda, where majority of those who voted were the military, and the military won. And in most places where you thought the ruling party was going to win, it was the opposition win. I mean, everything was glaring. It was shown. There was screenshots shown all over. And therefore, we at one moment, sometimes, so as I was talking about change, when the change needs to come, you do not even need to be there to say that you are the one defending or whatsoever. Despite the fact that the opposition didn't have the means to actually deploy the election observers around the country, I even think that there are some CPDN election observers who played in favor of the opposition. This is what happened this year. Are you interested to even know that where even the president of the republic voted? I mean, it was shown, as I said earlier of this program.
Yeah.
There is no law that prohibits the proclamation of election at the polling station.
The predictions.
Exactly. That was shown on the board. It is shown. And that was done like that in the whole country. And therefore, we saw what happened. And that is why, tentatively, we can be able to talk about the person, suggest a person who, at least who made the greater strides. And it's important. So it was not, this year was not an issue of the opposition providing polling agent and all of that. It was an issue of the Cameroonians who, in one person, decided that they would change the trends. And of course, they decided inclusively with those of the ruling party who decided for change too. And that's what I'm just telling you, that we are shocked with the result that we got from some police station, where even in military barracks, in some military barracks, we saw screenshots where they are the opposition that won. So it was a year of change. It was a year of change, and I would think that we just have to accept it like that. There are certain things that we cannot.
So do you think actually the National Commission for the final counting, like, because there is actually cross-checking ongoing already, but after this we're going to really have a solid statement from the government?
We are supposed to have a solid statement from the government, and there's one thing, as I said, we have been following up this election since Sunday, but I must talk about one irregularity that happened after the elections. After the election, we expected the director of elections to speak first. But the person who spoke first and talked about the fairness of the elections was the Minister of Territorial Administration. Of course, we, the civil society, we root and condemn that. It is not the Minister of Territorial Administration who was supposed to talk about the conduct of the election. It was the Director of the Election who did. The Director of the Election spoke some hours after the Minister of Territorial Administration has spoken. And this is how we see that institutions in Cameroon are politicized. And this is what we are decrying. And you cannot see white and say it is red. You cannot see black and say it's yellow. So these are some of the things that we're decrying. But we are saying that the organ that is habilitated with the prerogative, with the responsibility to check the voting, to check and proclaim it, should be given the full right. Let nobody come and mingle. We even saw the mingling of the Minister of Territorial, starting from when the candidates were being pre-selected for the presidential election. We saw a lot of, invisible hands from the administration getting into. But we just think that, well, we would not want to hear somebody say, as he said, maybe in 1992, that his hands are tied. And just what I'm talking about. Let thorough checking be done. And the person reading should be sure that this is exactly what obtained. I know the reason is always the Constitution can just say that I am not in the field. It is the LECAM that is in the field. That our duty is just to read. But I think that somebody should do his job. Somebody should do his job. A LECAM should do his job. The counting commission should do his job. And this is what we are asking for. If everybody does his or her job, we think that the proclamation is going to be welcomed by all and sundry. It is just like sometimes I talk about the world peace. If there is no peace in the family, there will be no peace in the world. So from the nucleus, from the smallest point of view, there should be. We already even got some irregularities from some polling agents of opposition who were bribed by some other parties, to sign wrong PVs. This happened. And even prior to the election, because we monitored what was happening the day before the election, we saw some polling agents of opposition actually who refused at the 11th hour not to go to the field because they had taken money. All of those irregularities, we saw them, and we think that it is something that we are supposed to judge and correct for the future.